Okay. Oh, now it's working. All right. So first off, thank you so much for having me speak here. I would like to thank Brooke for actually inviting me, the rest of the Student Talks team for actually making this event possible, the MIB program, as well as Studio Q. So my name is Hark Alawalia, and I am a third-year commerce student. Now, to begin with, I'd like to ask you a question. What do all of these people have in common? Does anyone know? Yes. They're famous. They are very, very famous. So yes, they're famous. And two, they are passionate about what they do. Whether it's sports, whether it's the arts, or whether it's conquering the world. Now, I too actually have something in common with them, but I'm going to talk about that a bit later. First, I'd like to introduce myself a bit more. So, as mentioned earlier, I was born in India, and then I moved to the Philippines, Malaysia, Dubai, Indonesia, and then Canada. And now I've been very fortunate enough to travel as well as see the world, and also throughout my travels, I've really enjoyed photography. And this is because photography has allowed me to really store all of the memories from my travels. So now, who wants to see some of my photos? Anyone? Good. I'm glad that you guys said so, otherwise that would not have been good. So I take a lot of photos. I take portraits. I take architectural shots. This was taken in Jaipur, India. I take some more portraits. It was taken at a man. It was at 6 a.m. in a train station in Delhi. I take photos of animals. This was an elephant that I found in India. I take scenic photos. And I take photos of dogs, because who doesn't love dogs? And to one up that, I also take headshots of dogs, because everyone needs a pretty good headshot, right? Now, under the surface, you guys may not be able to tell on the outside something else that I actually have in common with all those people. Now, I've never actually shared my story about this in a public domain, so please do bear with me. And that is that as you may have been able to tell earlier, I stutter. So now, through the lens of my stutter, I hope to share with you some of the lessons that I've learned. So now, no one knows why I stutter. I've talked to my parents. No one knows when I even started stuttering, but there are two possible reasons. The first is that it could be a neurogenic stutter, which is a stutter as a result of a neurogenic damage. So I was actually involved in a car accident in 2005 in Dubai, and that was actually on this road, and this is a photo taken by my mom, actually. And the second possible reason is that, hey, it may just be natural. About 10% of a kid stutter, and up to about 1% of adult stutter in the world. Now, regardless of the reason or for how long I've been stuttering for, I let my stutter affect me. And I remember when I first moved to Toronto in grade 6, I was trying to order TTC bus tickets. And I was trying to say the sentence, "Can I please have 10 bus tickets?" And that would take me up to about 25 to about 30 seconds just to say one simple sentence, which is this sentence. Now, in terms of the words that I would stutter on, we have can, please, have 10 bus tickets. To my recent memory, there aren't many words that I haven't stuttered on. There are some exceptions, some being whiskey sour, ale, and stages, but so I guess some could say that I may have my priorities straight in a sense, but we shall see. Anyways, now I also let my stutter affect me academically. So especially during middle school as well as high school, I would refrain from participating in class. Either that's because sometimes my peers would laugh, or because I simply didn't want to deal with it. Not today, I would tell myself, just not today. And the most frustrating thing about a stutter is that it's impossible to actually turn off. It's always lurking behind the corner, ready to get you. And I remember talking to my teachers throughout my education, and I asked them, hey, like, do you know when I'm going to stop stuttering? They said, oh yeah, soon, it's going to happen in a couple of years. And while I'm still waiting for that day to come. Now, I find that my journey with a stuttering is actually analogous to a Sisyphus, who in a Greek mythology, he was sentenced to a perpetuity of pushing a boulder up a hill, and when it's reached the top, to have it roll back down. Now, whenever I'm talking fluently, I'm talking just like you, and I'm talking well, and I'm happy, the boulder comes crashing down. I don't know when it's going to come crashing down, but it inevitably does. And one of my all-time lows was actually while I was working in Singapore this summer. I remember I was trying to converse with my boss, and I could barely put together a coherent sentence. And that was extremely embarrassing. And I started to doubt my ability to work in the jobs I wanted to work as. So I went back to my desk and I Googled jobs for people who stutter. They aren't very glamorous, let me just tell you that. I could apparently be a very good construction worker. I could be an assembly line manufacturer, a contractor, and my personal favorite, I could be an accountant. Who knew? However, I personally never saw myself working in these jobs. So I want to challenge myself. Now, I have a question for everyone here. Can you guys please put your hand up if you ever felt as if you had to change something about you in order to receive an offer for a job or a position? Is there anyone here who has had difficulty with that? So everyone, if you guys look around, there are a lot of people. And it's a very tough process. And personally, for me, it was my stutter, because I would look at my peers who were all very eloquent speakers, they're all very well-spoken, and then there was me, who at times, not so much. However, after talking to my family and to my friends and to my support network, and especially my girlfriend, I was able to overcome it. And after 2 months of working really hard in the fall of recruiting, networking, stalking people on LinkedIn, cold calling, which was very awkward, by the way, I finally got one of my goal jobs. I was extremely happy because it told me, hey, you know what, I can compete, I can be just like everyone else, and more so that if I worked hard, I could achieve anything that I wanted to achieve. However, it has been a very long journey to begin overcoming my stutter. However, I firmly believe that journey began when I first came to Queens. Now I remember, as a nervous frosh, it was during Frosh Week. I was thinking, I'm like, hey, am I going to let my stutter affect my academic journey once again? And the answer was no. So I promised myself that I was going to participate in class. So the moment that Professor Libetz in business management asked the first question on the very first day of the very first class of my university journey, I was the first person with my hand up. Now this may seem like a seemingly minute act to a lot of you. Hey, he just put his hand up. But for me, this is what paved the way for me to continue participating and to find my voice. And since then, I've been working so hard to talk to a lot of people and been trying to consistently converse so that I can practice my speech. Now, I've also developed a way. I've started to accept the fact that I do stutter, and that's okay. And I've developed an approach that I like to use when I do stutter. And I feel as if that can be illustrated by this photo. So I took this photo it was at Sese Beach. Which is in Bali. It was about, I think, two years ago, if I remember correctly. And the way that it reminds me of my stutter and how I overcome it is that when I'm stuttering, when I'm speaking, it feels as if I'm talking so fluidly, and I've almost reached the shore. I'm talking so well, and there's a barrier in the way, there's a boulder, there's a rock, there's a stutter. There's always something. But I've learned that the secret to overcoming it, whether it's my stutter or anything that I go through, is to pause, collect yourself, think about what you're going to say, and find your way to the shore. There are ways around everything that life puts in your way. Now, this is just my approach to overcoming a stutter. Now I'd like to share with you some other approaches that I found online. So Tiger Woods, who as you saw actually stuttered, so Tiger Woods spoke to his dog every day for years just to practice speaking, and that is what enabled him to overcome his stutter. Ed Sheeran overcame his stutter by rapping to Eminem songs. And now, even though the content of Eminem songs may be questionable especially for a 10-year-old child, might I say, Ed says that by doing so, he was able to practice articulation in his voice as well as a melody in the way that he speaks. And in fact, Elvis Presley actually singing to escape from a stutter, because through some miraculous thing in your brain, when you sing, it's impossible to stutter. But please don't get the idea that I'm going to sing for you, because that's bad for everyone. Trust me. Now, Marilyn Monroe actually also, she has a very breathy vocal style, if anyone of you have ever heard Marilyn Monroe sing. And that's actually a result of one of her speech therapy exercises in which you audibly breathe out. And it sounds very beautiful and very soft like this, and now I'm singing Happy Birthday to the President of the United States, JFK. I don't know if anyone of you guys have heard that, but it's a very good song. Now, Joe Biden, in his memoir, wrote that given the opportunity to relive his life without his stutter, he would not do so. And that's because he felt as if it made him so much stronger. And I too believe that my stutter has made me so much stronger. And I really do believe that my stutter has also made me more empathetic, as well as mindful of what people are going through. So I'd like to show you another photo. So I took this photo at the Amer Fort, which is in Jaipur, India. Now, it looks like a normal portrait, but why I love this photo is if you look at her smile, it's just so beautiful and genuine and happy. And I remember talking to her afterwards, and it was just such a pleasant moment. And I realized that even though she has been dealt with a difficult life and a difficult situation, she's able to remain positive. And similarly, I saw this during my first year summer when I was interning with a company in Indonesia, and I was working on their palm oil strategy. And I was out in the field for a couple days conversing with the palm oil farmers. And I learned that these farmers on average make $2,000 a year, US dollars, which is not very much if you're thinking about sustaining your entire family, educating your kids, as well as just maintaining a life, putting a roof over your family's head. However, even though they've been dealt with such a difficult situation, even though they've had a lack of opportunity to progress, they were so positive, inviting, and happy. And what I learned from this is that no matter what you are dealt with, everyone's going through a difficult situation. The only thing that matters is how positive you are, and also what type of steps you take to overcome it. I was dealt with a stutter, and I'm very happy that I was, because it's made me a really strong person to what I believe. It's made me grow in many different ways. So I encourage you to maintain a positive outlook on your life and to be mindful of what other people are going through. Now I'd like to share with you guys another story. So I was at an event in Indonesia. This is called Panjat Pinang. It was last summer. I was with my mom. So this is a celebration it was for Indonesia's 72nd Independence Day. It was a completely chaotic event. So we basically we have small teams climbing up about 80 different grease poles, trying to get the prizes at the top. Completely chaotic, really, really fun. I would definitely recommend if you're ever in Ancol in Indonesia. Now, throughout all this chaos, I was able to capture one of my favorite photos of all time. Now, his tattoo says, "Only God can judge me." Now, regardless of your religious beliefs, I believe that this photo should speak volumes to you, because you should not let anyone get in the way of what you want to do, or let anything prevent you from achieving your goals. You are the only person who can define your future. Thank you so much for listening. Appreciate it.